Hello, everyone. We're here for another exciting transmission by Mynoo Maryel. And tonight we are continuing to focus, to give our attention to the human miracle. It's number 23 of 52. And we're continuing with the light circadian series, and this one is on the set point. Mynoo Maryel will share tonight the 7 ways to harmonize light so that it synchronizes the 7 circadian set points for perfect well-being. And with this knowledge, we will be able to transform our quality of sleep and sharpen our alertness and vibrant vitality. Certainly, it feels to me that this is perfect timing for where we are right now in the transition in our lives and in the world today.
Thank you, Sarah. I'm looking forward to the session. Like I said, I have just presented myself to be here, and we will allow the divine to communicate what we're choosing to come through today. Thank you, Sarah. And remember, this is a human miracle, so it is more interactive than other series. So whilst I am transmitting, if there are things that come up for you that you want to ask, then, please go ahead and bring it up.
Wonderful. Thank you.
So, and you'll take care of the waiting room and allow.
Yes, I am. I'm on it.
Okay. Yes, for me, it's even brighter and earlier. In Dubai, it's 4:30 in the morning. So it usually used to be 5:30, but with the change of timing, now it's 4:30. So here we are, before the sunlight has kicked in, working with all of this other light that is humanly created, going through this particular circadian set point of light. So we are in the middle of the human miracle. We are in the middle of the 7 circadian set points. We have done the circadian set point of living food. We've done the circadian set point of living water. And today, our focus is on light. And we have others that we will be going through. But let's focus our attention on light. So light by itself, there is a frequency to light. It can be healing, and it can also be disconcerting. Both of those effects occur with light. So in understanding the 7 ways to harmonize light so that it actually becomes something that synchronizes the circadian set points and therefore becomes a healing gift, it is important to also understand what kind of and what duration of light we actually don't engage with or we avoid. So there are do's in terms of pathways, as well as there are some don't pathways. So first of all, let's begin with the first one. And the first pathway is that of I call it the sunlight pathway. It allows us to understand the importance of light. So sunlight, it is the light of the sun that has the perfect nutrients that enable a seed to germinate. You can put a seed in water, and you can put it in soil, and you can feed it with whatever. But if there's absolutely no sunlight, some germination will occur. It's fine. But for that little sapling to really grow into a bush or a tree, that won't occur At the same time, if you take the same little seed and you soak it, I do a lot of sprouting myself at home. And what I do is I soak the mung bean in water, and then I wrap it up in cloth, in like a muslin cloth, which is damp. And when I wrap it up in a muslin cloth, I put it into a big sieve, and it's damp, and I keep it damp, and I expose it to sunlight. So it's sort of sitting there in a bowl in sunlight. And within a couple of days, I have these beautiful sprouts. I make sure that the muslin cloth remains damp. Now, I know I lived in England for 35 years. I did the same process. There was no sunlight, and sprouting would mostly not occur. Or it would occur, it would be quite tiny little sprouts after many days. I attempted putting it in the heater cabinet, just thinking that it is warm, and it isn't. It is actually sunlight. That makes a difference. So the first pathway is sunlight, using sunlight as food. Now, when you use sunlight as food, bathing yourself in it really nourishes you, in a pretty powerful way. Allowing yourself to do sun gazing, doing sun gazing also is another way in which you consciously, proactively feed yourself this highly nutritious food. And I'm going to talk about both of those as two very separate ways in which you work with sunlight. So let's look at sun gazing, first of all, as a way of feeding yourself. So the time to sun gaze is just as the sun is rising. Just as the sun is rising. Where the sunlight is quite raw and tender. Or when the sun is setting. That sharpness of the sunlight is gone and the sun is starting to set. That's the time where you can actually see the ball of the sun with your naked eye. At that time at night, in the evening, is another time where you can do sun gazing. To allow yourself to take the sun in, rather than stretching your eyes and looking at it, you squint them a little bit, sort of like this, and feel as if the sun's light is going into the center of your pupil. You feel that. It isn't, it's going into the entire eye, but you're starting to give it some direction. So it's sort of like this. And I like to use my hands, where I place my hands like this, as if I'm holding the sun, and I'm bringing it into my eyes. And then I ground any excess that might be there. Go back in, take it in, ground any excess that may be there. And you can do this in 5 sets of 10. So do it 10 times. Close your eyes. Just allow the sun to go in to your entire eye through the skin. Take 5 breaths, just like that. Open your eyes, squint them, do another set of 10. The 5 sets of 10 is sufficient food that you would get from the sun for the rest of the day. You don't require any more than that. And if you understand the mantras, there is a mantra called the Gayatri mantra. I know that there are several people here from India. the way you know that you have taken enough of sun, you've done enough sun gazing, is by singing the Gayatri mantra 25 times. 24 times actually is the exact amount. And I can share the Gayatri mantra in the Beyond Meditation group. So for those of you who are curious about it, you can actually get a sense of what I'm talking about. But that of 5 sets of 10 with 5 breaths in between is perfect. Now, once you have done that, take your hands like this, cover your eyes, and then cross your fingers over your eyes. And you just hold it there. You'll see extreme darkness when you do that. And your eyes are still closed. With your closed eyes, pretend as if you're looking through the darkness. So now what you're doing is you're doing like a Pilates of the eyes. You're opening up these tiny, tiny little micro muscle fibers. Your eyes are still closed. And you're allowing whatever sun feeding that you've done to really spread across all of those muscle fibers, really strengthening them. And then open, let go. Keep your eyes still closed. Allow the sun to go into your eyes, and you'll see some quite spectacular colors. Your eyes are still closed. It's as if you're now in the center of the sun. And that, you actually feel it spreading across your nervous system. One of the most important foods that you get from sun gazing is a powerful nurturing and strengthening of your nervous system. And of course, there is some vitamin D that goes in also, which definitely helps your skeletal structure. Even if you're able to do it 5 times a week or 4 times a week, it's better than nothing. Because in doing it this way, you're allowing your muscles, your eye muscles, and then through the eye muscles, you're actually reconnecting to your nerves, and therefore your entire brain and all the circuitry that goes on there greatly benefits. And through the brain, it actually goes into all of the rest of your body. You can make it even more potent if you are able to either stand on this, on naked ground, so bare feet on the sand. Now, Sarah, if you will recall, when you came to Bali all those years ago, we did sunbathing. We did the sun gazing, right? And we happened to be living right on the ocean. So in the morning, we all went to the ocean, and the sun would rise right there in front of us. And we all stood on it, and the floor was actually quite rocky. But that's fine. You're connecting directly to the earth. So we were standing on these little rocks as the waves were going against our feet, and we were doing the sun gazing. So what that does is it automatically starts, because there is such a constant, it's like the essential oil equivalent of nutrients, sunlight. And at that time, when the sun is just coming up, your bodies are able to receive it. It is not strong enough to harm you in any way. And in any case, because there is such a huge influx of nutrients, you can immediately go into a detox, which can be quite uncomfortable. And that's why doing this and grounding it is quite important. But if you're actually standing with bare feet on naked earth. It could be sand, it could be grass. Like, Linda, your wonderful garden and your oak tree would be a perfect place if we could even see the sun from there. For me here in Dubai, I mean, there is where I see the sunrise, because I'm actually in downtown, so full of high rises. I do see it rising in between the buildings. I'm not by the ocean as such. So I'm really on concrete. So so for me, it is really important to do this. So that way I'm consciously, inviting whatever excess is there to be grounded. So that way what happens is you don't go into a crazy level of detox straight away. Because the one thing that the sunrise or sunset light does as it enters you through your eyes is it immediately starts to remove anything that comes in the way of you restoring your well-being fully. And therefore, lots of toxins, and sunlight works in a full spectrum way. It is physical, it is mental, it's emotional, it's spiritual. So, physically, it is certainly affecting your organs. It's affecting your all the three systems: flow systems, organ systems, life force systems. And there is this whole syndrome called the SAD syndrome, SAD in the UK. It's a very common thing, which is deprivation of sunlight creates a form of depression in people. So by allowing yourself to take sunlight in this way, you are really starting to reawaken your storage faculties in your physical being, so that even if you don't have the sun for a few days, you're okay, because you fed yourself so well that there is that nutrition that is held within you from the sunlight. So mentally, it is quite uplifting. Emotionally, when you are actually engaged in doing this, however sad you may be, you may find that there will be like a flood of tears that might start coming. You won't feel like crying. It's just your body just releasing anything that has been burdening you in terms of your feelings. So initially, when you start doing it, some strong feelings start to be released in the form of tears, usually. And it's as if you're literally hugged from the front. And if you're doing it in the middle of nature, even before you begin, allow the trees to envelop you in their okayness. So you're being hugged from behind, hugged from the front, and this beautiful warmth of healing light is going inside you. It becomes a very beautiful reconnection to the spirit of you as you connect to the spirit of everything. We are given the gift of life, and we choose to live it. And it is that which creates aliveness. One of our major collaborators in that is the sun. The sun is a major collaborator in aliveness. So the first is sun gazing in the context of sunlight. Now, if you did this first thing in the morning, and you did the second way that I'm about to talk in a moment, these two will mean that you have really fed your body with sufficient light and good quality light, that light circadian set point is pretty well synchronized. It'll take you eating a lot of crap food and having some really bad quality drinks, avoiding water, for you to be destabilized. When your circadian set points are synchronized, no addictive behaviors arise. absolutely none. You don't feel unusually drawn to anything. You're actually in the rhythm of you, and you're plugged into having exactly as much as you require, nothing in excess. When you are in the realm of enjoying it. So this is the first way. The second way is also to do with sunlight. And this arose as a result of a question that came to my mind when I'd gone to Germany this year over the summer. And we were in this skiing town. And of course, it was the middle of summer. So there was no skiing, but there was a lot of hiking. So there were mountains all around us. And you got out of the chalet and you were subject to what we called as the cow orchestra. So you had the moos of the cow, but you also had those big bells, that they put in Switzerland. And these cows are going up the mountains, eating, chewing, and this bell is going ding, 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 ding. So it was like there throughout. And we decided to go on our first hike, and off we go. And I'm not really a hiker, so it was quite a trek for me. So I had to stop several times and stuff as we're climbing up. And I'm thinking, I have I'm using so many different ways of connecting how I am to make it more comfortable for myself, climbing up this mountain, and there's so many times that I just have to stop. I just can't move forward. And then, you start experiencing some pain as when you cross a particular threshold. So I'm also in pain. And that's when I was drawn to, this particular cow who was quite insistent that she, with her friends, wanted to cross that walkway. So I'm standing there looking at these cows crossing the walkway and then going on another hike. And these are huge. They're huge, really huge. And okay, I was blaming my discomfort on my weight and all of that, but these cows are so much huger than me. And I was like, what's going on here? I'm in pain and I've not even done 1/10 of the trek. And these cows have been at this for a while. And wherever they've come from, they have walked all this way. They haven't taken a car like we have into the car park and then got on a hike. So they've been at this for a while. So what is it that has these cows not feel pain? And I tuned in to see, do they actually feel pain? They didn't, they were not in pain. And it were two things. One was they were on the earth, so they were grounded. But more importantly, what took the pain away from the cows was sunlight. It was sunlight that took pain away from the cows. So I started experiencing some knee pain, halfway up the trek. My son has this great belief that his mother is 20, 25, 30-year-old or something. He truly believes that. So in his mind, it's like, I cannot use my age card at all, ever. So I'm he's messaging me, come on, come on, come on. Okay, I'll come down. And I'm thinking, oh my God, he's 3/4 of the way up and now he's going to come down to get me. It's not on. And then when I got this realization that it is sunlight that's taking that pain away, I thought, okay, I'm just going to sit here on this log and lift my trousers up and expose my knee to the sun. If sunlight really takes the pain away, let's have a go with that. So I did that. Not expecting anything. I was not skeptical. I was really open, but I was not expecting that it would actually be magical. And it was magical. It was magical. I guess there's nothing wrong with my knees. I hadn't sprained them or anything. It was just the pain of having, like exercise those muscles more than I've ever done. I have since used. So then I thought, aha, sunbathing. And if you combine sunbathing with wind bathing, which happens naturally out in nature, then what the wind is doing is blowing away the clutter and bringing focus. So when you hold an intention and you're working with the light of the sun and you're directing it to the largest organ of your body, which is your skin, you're literally holding the intention that this light circadian set point is being synchronized, and it's providing a very deep as well as superficial healing across all levels. And it's nourishing me in such a way that the nutrient storage that exists in my body naturally, which can't sometimes flow because of various blockages, starts to flow. And the funny thing is, after I did that little experiment, I actually found that somehow my mental well-being shifted, and I wasn't so focused on, oh, I'm carrying 30 kilos, let's see all of these trekkers, give them 30 kilos to carry, and then let's see how they would trek and stuff. All of those stories just disappeared. And I actually started enjoying the trek. And then when you start enjoying something, you don't realize, how far you walked. So sunbathing is quite different than sun gazing. Sunbathing, you're actually engaging your skin as your organ. We don't, the skin does its thing. But actually it is an organ that is given to us to allow us to absorb nutrients and expel toxins. So the great thing about sun bathing, and again, it's when you bathe yourself in the sun, do it at that time where the sun isn't super strong, which means you don't have to coat your skin with lots of chemical stuff. You can just have some coconut oil on it or something, and then, allow yourself to expose yourself to the sun. And it only requires 20 minutes, doesn't need any more than that. And then if you want to do more for increasing your own tanning and stuff, then you do it by taking due care. But 20 minutes of allowing your skin to just simply absorb the sun. It's not always easy for us here in Dubai or even in India to expose so much flesh, and sunbathe. So it takes some orchestration to be able to do it. So things like, I've started wearing these sort of clothes, or I might just have a sleeveless top on. So at least there's some exposure that's there. So sunbathing is, again, engaging your skin. Now, once you do it with the sun, your skin becomes open to, because that remembrance of absorbing the nutrients comes into the skin. The funny thing is, if you did the sunbathing in the way I'm saying, 20 minutes at a time where, the sunlight is still very, very tender, you'll find spots and pigmentation and those sort of things actually disappear. And as if when you overexpose it, then you have all sorts of other skin conditions that can develop. Now, having said that, I lived in Delhi for quite a while, a city known for its pollution, amongst other things. So absolutely, sunbathing outside was not the best thing to be doing. And neither was sun gazing. I did it from inside the house, through the glass. And a friend of mine who comes on Beyond Meditation from time to time, she was visiting me, and she had her health markers were really poor, high protein leakage from her kidneys, and vitamin D was completely low. B12 was very low, lots of other issues that she was experiencing. I asked her to come and stay with me for 7 days, and she did. And I took her on this whole natural eating regime, as well as following a regime that I do, but even more, strictly. And we would get up in the morning. We were in Delhi. She was having 6 nebulizers because her asthma was so bad. And Delhi pollution was at all-time high when I brought her there. When I followed guidance, otherwise I just would not have. I was quite concerned myself, logically, to bring her into an environment which has got such high pollution when she's taking so many nebulizers. But I mean, I did my energetic, creating the home as a place which is a container of well-being for her. And at the end of 5 days, we actually took her markers again. So we would do the sunbathing. We would do the sun gazing in the morning. And we were eating just natural foods. And at the end of the 5 days, we did her markers. Her kidney function was completely normal. Her vitamin D was still low, but it had risen within 5 days. It has risen to only have a small differential between what was normal and what hers was. Her asthma nebulizers had completely gone, because she was not taking any of them. And, her vitamin B12 was normal. Triglycerides were normal. In 5 days, this occurred. And I'm pretty sure just with food and water, she would have become healthier. The addition of the sun and the light that came with it gave her that extra leap. And it was all done the house was completely sealed. We were not allowing external air as much as possible. We were not allowing it to come in even. So these 2 ways are extremely important for your light circadian set point. Let's look at some ways now that actually take away the light synchronization. So this third way is one of those, which is overexposure to very high frequency light. I don't mean in a spiritual frequency, but it's a bit like constantly looking at the computer or television or your phone. These are the strength of the electromagnetic waves that hit you. Some of it is fine. You can handle it. But when you overexpose yourself to it, that actually destabilizes the light circadian set point. So what is important? So how do you work with that? I mean, we are all working on phones or computers. At least when I grew up, it was computers, and we used a computer when we went to work. There were only desktops. There weren't laptops. Now you have laptops, you have iPads, you have your phone, you have your watches, So one way or another, we are looking at this light constantly. So one rhythm that I have created for myself is every hour, I just stop. And, I may be in the middle of something, but at an hour, I have a little timer that sort of blips or beeps. Doesn't beep. There's a very sweet little ring that I have on it. And I just close my eyes. Or I might just get up and go. If there are trees in front of me, then I will just allow the trees to look into me. Or I might just look up at the sky and just rest my eyes and allow the sky to look into me. But like really just break that pattern and reconnect to that memory on my eye muscles of sun gazing or reconnecting with nature. I've done it where I've said, okay, I'm going to do a 2-hour stretch and then do it. And it isn't as effective. I do land up feeling tired from the work that I've done. But if you actually pace yourself like this, that every hour, you just allow your eyes to be looked at by nature, or just simply close your eyes, that's fine. That starts to break that pattern when you're eating and you're eating and you're eating and you're eating and you're eating, like you're not stopping, you actually start feeling really uncomfortable. But if you pace yourself, you have something and then wait for a bit and then have the next course, but do it all within a particular window, it's actually not that bad. But give yourself a good chunk of time where you're not consuming that food. This light is not necessarily food. Initially, if you have had no exposure to light, then some light is better than nothing. But if you've had exposure to natural light, then this light can actually become distracting. But it is something that is integral to us, so pace it like this. Every hour, close your eyes. When I'm in front of a computer, I even shut the screen down, so even my skin isn't exposed to receiving it. Remember, your skin is an organ. So not only are your eyes taking it in, it's going in through every pore of your skin. The fourth way is what occurs before you go to bed. So it is about diminishing and eliminating light at the right times as much as it is about receiving light. So we've talked about it previously, and in the context of synchronization of light as a circadian set point, it is extremely important that 2 hours prior to your bedtime, you start the rhythm of reducing, diminishing the amount of light. And that can, until you're able to go to a point where just before bedtime, it's more like you're in an equivalent of candlelight. And what we have started doing is, a lot of people I see are on their phones as they lie on the bed before they go to bed, or watching Netflix on their laptops or iPads before going to bed. These are habits that we've created. And it is a habit that you will need to unravel yourself from, really release yourself from. It has a direct impact on your quality of sleep. And your quality of sleep has a direct impact on the well-being of your physical body. and the restfulness of your mental state. So start diminishing the light. The other thing that is extremely important, this is again this is the fifth way, which is again in the realm of what is it that you don't do. Our organs, just like our physical body, when we sleep, our physical body goes to sleep, and then different organs in our body, in our being, also have a chance to rest a little. Different organs that perform different functions, they also have got certain times that they sleep. And the perfect time for these organs to sleep, such that a complete restoration of that organ takes place, tends to be at a time where there is no sunlight. So the organ is not naturally awakened to absorb as many nutrients as it can. So originally, we never had these light bulbs, right? You automatically stopped, because as the sun went down, the shepherd came home, everybody gathered together, had a meal, talked, did whatever, lit up some candles or lamps, and then those lamps went out and everybody went to bed, naturally. And now we have all of this other stimulation, light stimulations that are there. So, however, our internal organs still operate in their own. There is a circadian rhythm to those organs as well. And there are certain organs which are very sensitive to light. So once you've gone to bed, it is important to have the room as dark as you possibly can. I used to think, because I was afraid of the dark for the longest time. So I would have a really good magnetic eye mask, and I would put that eye mask on, but sleep with the light on. Now that I know that my skin is a feeding organ as much as an expelling organ, it doesn't compute. Sleeping with the light on with an eye mask, actually your skin is still absorbing. The circadian set point of light is out of sync. So you have all forms of addictive tendencies. Mine was always directed towards food. And people have a variety of them. For me, it was food and work, my two addictions. But it's the way I worked or didn't work with light, even after I had gone to sleep, played a very important role. So what am I talking about here? There are certain organs of yours, like the pancreas. Pancreas shut down at around 8 p.m.-ish. Wherever you are in the world, around that time, the pancreas shut down. So therefore, eating well before 8, so that your pancreas can do their work, is really important. Because after 8, when you eat, the digestive enzymes are not being released. Because pancreas are in a shutdown state, and they start getting, impacted. Like if you know what it's like when you're in a deep state of sleep and you're woken up to suddenly, perform your duty, you won't really be at your best. Now, but pancreas are not affected by the light as such. They just have that timing. There is one organ of ours that is directly impacted and instantly impacted by light. And that is our kidneys. So like when you're asleep, lights are switched off, you want to go to the bathroom, you wake up and you switch on the light in the bathroom. Your kidneys think, okay, it's sunlight, it's daytime. So they awaken. So the kidneys are like shocked into waking up. So and kidneys have a function, and that is to, start expelling whatever is there to be expelled, but they haven't rested enough. So as a result, you land up, wanting to go to the bathroom over and over. I found this was bizarre. I used to do this all the time, thinking, oh, I don't take any medication for sugar. Maybe my sugar level is high. That's why I go to the toilet so often at night. But actually, when you start working with the light circadian rhythm, everything settles. You don't even need to go to the bathroom even once. If you, take care of it before you go to bed. But you go to the bathroom once and you've got a strong light on, the kidneys are jolted and they're awake. Your adrenals immediately, the adrenals are tiny little glands that sit on top of the kidneys. They are awake. So that, adrenal fatigue is a very important aspect of quite a common thing that people experience these days. But it's coming from the overworking of the kidneys, and it's coming from the overstimulation of light beyond sunset that we allow ourselves to experience. I'm continuing, and Sarah, are there any things that you wish to bring up or ask or share?
Yeah, thank you so much. It's fascinating. I'm completely immersed. The first thing that came up right at the beginning was that excitement in Bali that we all felt. I mean, we all, I don't know, what was it, 5 a.m? We all woke up in our cabañas and everybody, there was so much joy to want to run and sun gaze with the sunrise. Now I've been attempting to replicate that in New York. And I'm right in the middle of Manhattan. So I have all of these lights outside 24 hours and I have a terrace. I'm fortunate enough, but I'm having the hardest time for the first time that I remember. And I think it has something to do with the pandemic living. So I'd like your guidance on that, and to share this with everyone is, so at night, what I do, because I have light surrounding, I have lots of windows, floor to ceiling, and I have lots of lights outside from all the buildings. So what I do is I put my blinds down. I completely shut out the light. Probably about an hour and a half before I go to bed, sometimes 2 hours. But then what I'm finding is in the morning, my body naturally awakes very early, like maybe 5, 6, sometimes 4:30. But I don't want to get out of bed because it's cozy and it's dark in the apartment and in my bedroom. So I resist. What I'm doing is I'm delaying waking up and running to take in the sun. And now we're getting into nicer weather. We're not quite there yet. But then I just want to lounge in bed in the coziness of the dark of the apartment. What's your guidance about how to make that transition in the morning once we've cut out all the light in our surroundings?
Yeah, I mean, once you understand the reasoning behind doing this, so it's a little bit like, okay, it's like medicine, synchronization of your circadian set points. It's like medicine for us. It's like this is your what do you say, vitamin supplement, if you like, right? And there's a timing to it. So once you understand that, okay, this is why I'm doing it. So for me, the way I did it was I said, okay, I will not compromise on my morning routine, even if it means I go to bed after that. Right? So I do my morning rituals and then I just come and rest. In the coziness of my bed, if I'm in my own bedroom,
Okay.
And that can be 30 minutes, 40 minutes, whatever it is, but I have actually really nourished myself. I've taken
Mm.
pills, but it's all there for us to have from nature.
Now, what do you do, Mynoo? Do you wake up? Is your tendency to wake up in the dark before sunrise?
I always
And then,
have been, I won't say always, but ever since I started this way of living my life, it is dark. It's still dark. I mean, look outside, it's dark.
okay. So that's where I have the hard time making the transition. So do you set an alarm? I started opening up my blinds. So when I wake up very early, I'll open up the blinds and allow some, I don't totally open them, but I let them in. It's that transition I'm finding hard. I don't know if everybody else is having a similar experience or not.
It's natural. It's natural to have that. So I have a regime that is very comfortably done on the bed in the morning, which is my pranayama. I can do just seated on the bed, and that in itself, that whole regime of those 13 different breaths done in a particular sequence can happen on the bed. Okay, so by that time, I've then completed one form of nourishing my body with oxygen. Now there is a little bit of light that's starting to come up. And, I have in Dubai is the same. It's full of light everywhere. So I have these light canceling curtains. And literally they are like, it's pitch dark with these light canceling curtains. It's nothing, no light comes in whatsoever. So then by the time I finished that, then there is a little bit of light that is there, but my body is quite nice and awake. Now I can, even if there is no light outside, I can continue with my stretches, the yoga stretches. So I would do those yoga stretches. And if there's still no light, I'll do oil pulling. I mean, ideally, I do oil pulling first thing, even before I do my pranayama, because that's just me. But if you want, you can literally just sit on the bed and get going with at least some nice, lovely deep breaths. Breath of fire you don't do until you've gone to the toilet and released yourself. That you do after you've done that. So that would be the most important thing, is to how you relate to it. Like my friend whose story I was sharing, she always slept with the light on and the television on, because she said, look, I live in this huge house in London all by myself. I just need to feel that there is something going on. And at my place, because she understood why she was doing it, she slept with the light off, and I don't have any television. So there was no television. She didn't have her iPads on either. And now that she's experienced the transformation in her health, within 5 days, she's really, doing whatever she can. She's very motivated to keep going that way. Now, London, there is no sun at all. There's no sun gazing. There's very little sunbathing that happens there. She does the best she can on that front. And there will be a program that I'll do about how do you compensate for all of that. It's not today. Okay.
Yeah.
So,
do we have, maybe you'll include this. Thank you for that. I'm also curious, but maybe it'll come up at another time during the session or another session, just the quality of what is the difference in the sun when at sunrise and sunset, because obviously if we do this in the middle of the day, it's not going to have the same impact.
No, I think sunrise and sunset, just at that exact time, they're both really powerful. They're both powerful. So it's fine. I wouldn't go into there are differences, but they don't affect the synchronization of the light, circadian set point.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So let's look at when the next two ways are about how do you deal with when there is no, you don't have sunlight that much outside, which can happen in the winter months, or it can happen in certain parts of the world where it rains a lot. And in India and stuff, it happens during monsoons where you just don't have sunlight. And in places like Delhi, you don't even realize you have sunlight just because the pollution is so high. So, you can find yourself in situations like this. So how do you work with that? The last two ways are about that. So the sixth way is you work with the cellular memories of your experience of having done this sun gazing and sunbathing and having experience being in light. So this is about going back to a moment in time. And this would be a meditative approach. And you will time it for at least 20 minutes or 40 minutes even, where you go back to a very specific time where you were experiencing the perfect sunlight. So like Sarah, you would go to those times in Bali, for example, because they were very vivid. It was a very vivid experience. At the cellular level, when we absorb sunlight, our bodies actually have this innate wisdom to create little storage houses of nutrients of different kinds. And if you allow the body and your circadian set points are synchronized, then you are perfectly nourished. The nutrient storage houses are release certain nutrients and they flow through your body because there is a nice rhythm and flow that is going on. Similarly, sunlight and the nutrients that come within it are actually stored in different parts of our body. And when you have access to, when you don't have access to sunlight that our mind can register, then using this pathway of going back to a very specific moment in time and just seeing it like as if you're seeing a movie screen and you're seeing yourself standing and experiencing all of that, the sensations that come with it, that reawakens access to that storage point. And it's one of those things that you have in your body, which is there for those times where you don't have access to it outside. But you will find, and have a go with that. It is such an amazing experience, but you choose one moment in time, one moment to reawaken. It's like literally you're doing that for a switch to be flicked. And then you reconnect to the supply of nutrition that is very unique to sunlight that your body does require. And the seventh way is where you do take the help of your computers, given that we have access to that. And I mean, I have certain vistas that I love to have a look at. Like I've got a whole collection of beautiful sunrise, sunset photographs that I have got on a roll that I allow myself to see. And I have some amazing photographer friends who know I love them. So I just allow myself to bask in those, receiving the sun. And again, it is like reawakening those cellular memories, but this is another pathway that you can have access to, that you can work with. Now, the main thing to remember is when it is daylight, even if you can't see the sun, it is still there. It is still there. So give permission to to your skin to absorb whatever it can absorb that is coming through the clouds or whatever might be preventing from sunlight to be experienced fully. But these other pathways reawaken that cellular memory. So with that having been said, these are 7 ways in which you can synchronize light as a circadian set point. Over to you, Sarah, to conclude.
Wow, this is absolutely fantastic. What my nugget of gold, there are lots of nuggets of gold tonight, but I think the overarching for me is it's empowering what you've shared in this conversation. I feel for myself, what I shared earlier is that tomorrow morning I make my own choices immediately when I wake up, and that I don't have to feel obligated to get out of bed and open all the windows and go out and be in the living room or anywhere else. I could actually start the process of setting my circadian point before sunrise and do the pranayama, or to take that responsibility for myself. So I found tonight extremely empowering and powerful.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for being here. Have a fabulous rest of the evening. Diminish the light, those of you who are about to go to bed. Get ready for some sun gazing and sunbathing, those of us who are just rising. Thank you so much. Namaste.
Namaskar. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Great to see you, Kelly. Wow. Let's catch up.
Let's catch up.
Okay, bye-bye.